Hi, I'm bigcal, and welcome to my world. Today we have another tier list, but today I'm going to be ranking the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Basically the first three phases, which ends with Avengers Endgame, as well. That's all that's out currently when I'm recording this. Depending on how long it takes me to edit and upload, given that I have a number of other videos to get out, who knows, the next Spider-Man might be out, but yeah. So let's just get right into it, and we'll start off with Iron Man. The first MCU film kick-started the whole thing off, and it's going to be a rather obvious and easy S ranking. The first Iron Man is a fantastic film. It's one of my all-time favourites in the MCU. It just did everything perfectly, basically. Does that mean it's a perfect film? No, it has some flaws, of course, all of these do, but in terms of, I guess, a superhero film, it just did everything right. It got the look right. Robert Downey Jr., of course, as Tony Stark was fantastic. The Iron Man suit, perfect. Just, it really did kickstart the whole thing off in the best way possible, and if Iron Man wasn't the success that it was, we probably never would have got the MCU. Next up is a bit of an oddball for the list. It is The Incredible Hulk with Edward Norton Jr. I remember this one in the sense that I didn't know it existed for a good while. Yeah, it wasn't until The Avengers was going to come out and I thought, I'm going to binge watch all of the others just to catch up. And I didn't even know The Incredible Hulk was part of the MCU or even existed until I did a little research to make sure I was watching them all in order of when they were released. It's a decent film, it is, but yeah, it's just so kind of forgettable and yeah, just place that. It doesn't really seem to fit in very well with the rest of the MCU. Obviously, you got an actor replace. We have, of course, what's his name doing the Hulk now. Oh, his name has completely slipped my mind, but what are you going to do? I'm sure we'll remember it soon. But yeah, we got a new actor for the Hulk. It's basically very little of the Incredible Hulk is ever mentioned in the rest of the MCU. The only thing that comes from it really is General Ross. He shows up in some of the later films, and that's about it. It's a decent watch, but it's not the best of the MCU films, and it just doesn't feel as connected as the rest. Next then is Iron Man 2. Obviously the first Iron Man was a huge success. They pretty quickly got a sequel out. It was only the third film, but it wasn't as good as the original. I think it gets a lot more hate than it deserves. I mean, I've seen people rank it as one of the lowest, and just like, no, it's still a good film. I still thoroughly enjoy it. Whiplash certainly could have been done a lot better, but I loved Hammer, and I love the guy who played him. Again, I'm terrible with names. I can't remember his name offhand, but he was fantastic as a guy trying to be Tony Stark and failing miserably. He was wonderful at it, and is one of the best performances, in my opinion, of the MCU films. He was tremendous, and I really hope he comes back at some point in time. So then we go to Thor. First time we venture off planet, and of course we go to Asgard with Thor. And this one looks spectacular. You know, the whole visual of Thor just looks incredible. You know, Asgard looks insanely beautiful. You got the big bridge, the Bifrost that just looks fantastic. Loki, of course, is introduced in this film, and he's been tremendous throughout the whole MCU. Chris Hemsworth as Thor was just extremely likeable. Yeah, I'm gonna place it also a C. You know, again, it gets a lot of hate when it doesn't really deserve it, in my opinion. It's a really fun film still, you know, sets up a lot. It's very important, I think, to the MCU in terms of, you know, it goes into space now, and we're introduced to genuine aliens in the Asgardians. And of course introduces us to Loki, who will be one of the bigger recurring villains slash also anti-hero sort of characters, I guess, for the rest of the current 3 phases. Then moving on, we get Captain America, the first Avenger. I remember not really looking forward to this one when it came out, because Captain America just seemed like such a dull character. It's like, yeah, I'm patriotic, America, woo! But, you know, Chris Evans did an amazing job as that character. I think Haley Atwell as Agent Carter is fantastic. Also love the Agent Carter show. Can't believe it got cancelled after 2 seasons. It was fantastic. But yeah, I really enjoy this one, and yeah, I'm going to put it a B grade. Yeah, it's definitely better in my opinion than Iron Man 2 and Thor. And, you know, it set up the first Avenger. Went back to the 40s, you know, with World War II, the Red Skull and the Nazis. It was just a fun film. I thoroughly enjoyed it. And then, of course, we have the original, the first Avengers film, or Avengers Assemble as it's known here in the UK, because we had a show and a film called The Avengers, and people might confuse it with that, apparently. But yeah, that is also a rather obvious S grade. Again, one of my favourite films of the MCU. I have watched probably the first Avengers more than anything else. I remember I bought the Blu-ray, and it also came with the DVD version, so at the time I could watch Blu-rays through my PS3, so sometimes I would lay in bed and watch, you know, on my TV the Blu-ray, and sometimes I would be on my computer. It's like, I fancy just watching a film, so I only had a DVD drive in, so I would put the DVD version of it in and watch it on my PC. And yeah, it never gets dull. I just love it. All the Avengers finally coming together against Loki and the armies. It sets up Thanos as the big bad for the rest of the next 2 phases that come after it. It's just wonderful in every aspect. Then we start with Marvel's Phase 2 and Iron Man 3. Yeah, sorry, but you're not quite F, because there's lots to like about it. The core concept is that Tony Stark has to rely more on himself than his Iron Man suit. It is great. I like that idea. It's just kind of poorly executed a little bit, and yeah, there was the whole Mandarin thing. Just Jesus Christ, what were they thinking? Yes, they technically rectified it with one of those shorts that they did. I can't remember what they're called now, but we've yet to see that, you know, pay off in any way. And spoilers, with Tony Stark dying in Endgame, I don't see the Mandarin coming back, to be fair. You can't really have the Mandarin without Tony Stark's Iron Man. At least not to me in the MCU. So, moving on to Thor, The Dark World. Yeah, that gets a big F ranking. It's just... It is, as a whole, is pointless, other than introducing the Reality Stone. Is it the Reality Stone? I think so. Yeah. That's it. Everything else is kind of garbage, really. It's not good. Oh, Captain America, the Winter Soldier. Absolute S. One of the top tier MCU films. Fantastic. It is just amazing. I mean, that it might be my second favourite of the whole lot. Just like the first Avengers film, I've watched this one so many times. It has huge impact on the series, with S.H.I.E.L.D. turning out to be mostly Hydra. That, of course, had a massive impact on Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., the show, which went from a fun show, the first half of the season, to an absolutely incredible show once Hydra was outed and everything had to change for them. It was amazing. The actual film itself, didn't feel like a typical superhero film, which is what I love about the MCU. There's a lot of different genres, and yes, you have superheroes, but this one's kind of like a spy film and things like that. We got Captain America and Black Widow basically having to go undercover and trying to figure all this stuff out. What the hell's happening with Hydra? Who's Hydra? Who isn't Hydra? Then of course you have the Winter Soldier, and turns out to be his best pal Bucky from back in the day, and you've got Senator Pierce or whatever, who turns out he's actually the head of Hydra now, and Fury possibly dies and doesn't, and there's just so much to it. It's really awesome, and yeah, one of the absolute top tier list. Next is Guardians of the Galaxy, and I was a bit iffy about going to see this one, because unlike the other characters, Hulk, Thor, Iron Man, Captain America, I knew of these characters at the very least. Now, for my comic book knowledge and things like that, most of it came from Spider-Man the Animated Series in the mid-90s, because most of these characters, with the exception, I think, of Hulk and Thor, would show up in the Spider-Man series. Everybody did. S.H.I.E.L.D., Iron Man, War Machine, Captain America, the Fantastic Four, the X-Men, Doctor Strange, the Red Skull, all these different characters showed up in that series, so I at least had some knowledge of them. And then, there was also Marvel Ultimate Alliance game, which of course, you had Thor in it, which I learned a bit more about, the Incredible Hulk, learned a bit more about. Obviously I knew of them before, but with Guardians of the Galaxy, they were a complete mystery to me, and I was really unsure about it. It's completely unknown, didn't know any of the characters, and the whole concept of it did seem rather weird. I mean, you got a talking raccoon and some aliens and a human, and it's just like, what? How is this really going to work? Oh, and a giant tree that just says, I am Groot? Yeah, okay, whatever. It turns out it's one of the funniest films in the MCU. It's funny, it's charming, the characters are amazing in it. It had more of Thanos finally for the first real time. We didn't just see him in a post-credit scene. He had a more active role in the film. Dave Bautista, I was obviously a big wrestling fan, so seeing Bautista come in here and do a fantastic job as Drax, he stole the show absolutely as that character. Just a whole ton of fun, a fantastic soundtrack, and again with Thanos and the Power Stone had a big impact on the show. And while Thor again had some space stuff that elevated the MCU, Guardians of the Galaxy opened up space even more, and yeah, just fantastic film. Next is Avengers Age of Ultron. Ultron I knew of and was excited for, and honestly I thought it was a bit of a disappointment, but it was still a good film. It's just, I never saw Ultron as the big threat that I think he should have been in the film. That's just my opinion. But for the most part, really like the film. Introduced Scarlet Witch, of course, and Quicksilver, who quickly died because X-Men used him instead. But it was what it was for that. We got, I think, Scarlet Witch the better of the two from the MCU, because the Fox's X-Men at the time, Quicksilver, is now part of Disney, that one was far superior. So yeah, that was that. It's still a really good film. You got the Avengers obviously the fighting metal men basically, and it has a huge impact on, again, the future with Civil War coming up, and adds more depth to Tony Stark's character and how he just wanted to help people and help the world, and ended up creating this insane killer robot being. And we also got Vision out of it, who's really cool. And the moment where he picks up the hammer and everyone's just like, what the fuck? That was a really cool moment. Some good action scenes. Incredible Hulk is great in it, of course. And yeah, it's a really good, really fun film. I was just disappointed that Ultron wasn't as big and bad and evil as perhaps he should have been. And my phone's just decided to randomly beep. Anyway, moving on now is Ant-Man, and this was another one that I was kind of not that interested in seeing at first, but still went to it because there was so much crap surrounding it with different writers and producers and directors and everything, and it seemed to be, you know, oh, this guy's doing it, oh no, he's not doing it now because he can't do exactly what he wants, and, you know, Marvel are telling him how to do it and blah blah blah, and it just seemed really strange. And for a while it was rumoured to not be part of the actual MCU, it was just going to be a standalone thing, and then it was part of the MCU, so like, what the hell is going on? And then it's like, okay, Ant-Man, what can he do? He can shrink. Okay, magical, how are they going to make that cool? And they managed it. Yeah, I'm going to put this in the B tier as well. It's a really fun film. It's not the best, but you know, it's better than some of the others, obviously. Ant-Man is a cool character. He does kind of remind me of Peter Quill, but he shrinks. You know, a lot of the Marvel characters do have that sort of, you know, comedy, sarcastic, you know, quick wit sort of thing. You got Tony Stark, you got Peter Quill, you got Ant-Man. There's very similar characters, but they all do it so well that it doesn't matter. And of course, we just have really fun action scenes with your shrinking and things like that, and going into the quantum realm a little bit, which sets up again another huge door opens for the MCU. So yeah, that's really cool. Okay, going to end the video there because it went on longer than I was expecting, as usual. So we're going to have to split this into two parts. The second part will be available online tomorrow, where I rank Phase 3. So, I'm bigcal, thanks for watching, and I'll see you again next time.